Hello, wildlife students. Another day of remote learning. If we were at Camp Lazarus, the end of the year, the last quarter, we have been doing aquatics and soils, my two big specialty areas in natural resources. So it's been a challenge for me to put them online, and that's why I haven't really been really good about putting them online because I just decided that we would do them together when school starts again. Some of us have the Envirothon competition representing the Delaware Area Career Center Wildlife Program this week. If you were not on a team and you definitely wanted to be on one, I may have a couple team members that are unable to participate, and I would love for you to be able to join a team. So you can contact me and we'll get you on a team, and we will get you some experience with the Envirothon because that is our contest that the program has historically done very well with. So I want to give you some background on soils because I know that is going to be on the test, and usually that is the program's weakest area. And obviously we haven't covered it this year, so I can't expect you to do very well with it. So with the soils, the first thing that you may be asked is, how is soil made outside? So soil is not grown, it is not alive, and it is formed with 5 different items. So depending on the soil's color, depending on how rough or bumpy the soil feels, depending on its uses, are impacted by the 5 different factors that go into forming the soil. So the first one is time. Scientists will say 500 years easily to make an inch. So you got about an inch of soil made every 500 years. And that's because the rocks have to weather away to get that. So we got about, time is a big thing. As here in central Ohio, we're looking at 500 to 1,000 years to make an inch of soil. The next one is living organisms. You are going to have soil weather a lot faster when we have more living organisms. If you think about in a forest floor, especially, let's think when we did our Reptile Friday, when we switched it up to amphibians and we studied salamanders the one time, then we went out and dug for salamanders. If you think about all those rotten dead logs that we were rolling over looking for salamanders and how loose and fluffy that dark soil was, that's because there's more living organisms in there aerating the soil. There are more living organisms breaking down and decomposing soil, so that decomposing dead things. So time is the first one, living organisms is the second one. The third one is what we call topography. So is the land very hilly, like we can go sledding on it, or is it super flat and it's good for someone who's wanting to start running and we wouldn't have to worry about a lot of hills? With topography, usually your hill slopes, so sloping is going to form soil faster. And your flat areas, depending if they don't flood, when I'm talking about a floodplain because that is different, but just a flat area that we find in an open field like a football field. So a football field would form soil slower. It's going to form soil faster on a slope because we have more erosion coming in there to factor that. So our fourth item, why soils are different in the soil forming factor, is our parent material, also known as our bedrock. You can think of it that way. They're slightly different, but without having any background knowledge, I will let you think, okay, it's the rocks under the soil. So our parent material is extremely important. Here in Ohio, we have a whopping 3 types of parent material to choose from: limestone, shale, and sandstone. So those are the ones, and I do apologize, I meant here in Delaware County, where Camp Lazarus is. So Camp Lazarus has a lot of shale. It also has a lot of limestone. And the further we go towards the Olentangy River, the more limestone we find. The closer we go to our classroom, it's more shale. So in Delaware County, if you're familiar with the area, anything from, let's say, Delaware, the city of Delaware, draw a line, north and south, so split the county kind of in half. So western side, go to Ostrander. I have a lot of Buckeye Valley students, so you'll know where Ostrander is, and the Scioto River. All of that is going to be limestone. We go to the Alum Creek area, and they have lots and lots of shale. And then we go east our big walnut school, so kind of where Nate lives, a lot of that is sandstone. So those are the parent materials. Each one of them causes soil to be different. As an example, limestone, when it weathers away, it makes a very, very high content of clay in the soil. And the last one is our climate. Okay, so a very, very windy, dry, arid, or very humid, like a rainforest. So you got a desert or a rainforest. Those are going to form soil faster than some of our mild temperate climates. So 5 soil forming factors. First we have time, next we have living organisms, and then topography, parent material, and lastly we have climate. All of that soil that's formed, you can divide into 3 different soil particles. It's either going to be sand, silt, or clay. And then Mother Nature is going to mix all that around and make the sand, silt, and clay mix together in many different ways. Okay, so you hear the word loam. That means that it's a combination of sand, silt, and clay that have broken off the rocks. Weathered is the correct term, off the rocks and stuff. So that causes our soil to feel different. Sometimes you'll pick up soil that it really feels like you're working with Play-Doh because it's that clay. Other times you pick up soil and you think you're at the beach because it's that much sand. And it really depends on the parent material, what's weathered away. Different pieces of soil come together different ways. So sometimes we have soil that you can just kind of sift through your hand like flour. Other times it just makes a mud ball. That's actually called the structure of the soil. So if you hear the word structure, that just means how these little pieces of soil came together. Now, how those 5 soil forming factors make the soil out in the earth and how those soil pieces come together, like sand, silt, and clay, impact how the water goes through the soil, which is called drainage. Okay? I will tell you, my plan was we were going to do background of soils. I was going to teach you quite a bit, and one of the many activities I had planned for soils that I've done in the past is I had what I called the amazing race coming in, and I was going to set up an amazing race across Camp Lazarus, and I was going to give you a soil map because all soils are mapped across the United States. A human being has actually went out, hand touched, textured the soils out, and then they map it. So I was going to give you a soil map, soil description. I was going to give you an explanation of what I was looking for, and there'll be some sort of a challenge at each of the Amazing Races spots. And so you'd have to find the spot by looking at the soil map, what matches the description we're looking for. And then once you got there, you had to do the challenge. If you passed it, then I would give you the clue to the next spot. So plan on doing that when we get back together, the Amazing Race regarding soils. I just need to let you know that soil is all contained county by county in Ohio in what we call a soil survey. So it is a book that is written on every soil we find in the county, and then soil scientists have then ranked our soils as to what it's good for and what it's not. And it's supposed to be for guidelines. So as an example, the pond that we would love to go fishing in when we were doing our fish unit at Camp Lazarus, we would have consulted this book to say, okay, the soils here, are they going to be good for a pond? Because we don't want to build a pond and then the soils not hold water. Also, when we are trying to cut down trees because they've died because of the emerald ash borer, what we also need to consider is, okay, when we replant them, we're going to replant new trees. Is the soil the correct soil for that tree? Some of your trees are going to need more acidic soil. Other trees are going to need more of a basic soil. There are certain soils that are just known for having a little bit higher pH, and it's because of that parent material that is in there. So all those books now are online. We don't print a lot of them, and we call it Web Soil Survey. I did get a notification for the Envirothon this year that they are using they picked a location in Paulding County, which is in northwestern Ohio. So the soil survey book that the Envirothon participants are using is from Paulding County. So today, for your soil assignment, you are going to be using the soil survey from Paulding County to complete that, just so you have an idea. Now, a soil survey book is going to be over 200 pages long. I never expect you during remote learning, never had any soil experience, to randomly get asked a question about soils and be able to flip through a 200-page document. So today, I definitely am going to give you a question as an example. Pewamo soil. What is its limitations when it comes to agriculture? I'm going to say, look on page 170, because I can get you at least to the chart that is going to tell you the answers. I don't expect you to leaf through that, okay? So there will be some answer, at least the page, to direct you on that. Lastly, just so you know, it is going to be mid-60s today. It is Thursday. The sun is going to be shining, and then it's going to get cold again Friday, Saturday. So enjoy some sunshine today. This assignment is not going to be due until Friday. So it gives you 2 days to do this assignment, and that way maybe if you want to enjoy some sunshine today, you can. I do know there's a couple Envirothon teams going to compete today, but once again, if you're not on one, I would love to put you on one, because I do think there's a couple classmates that are unable to participate this year, because next year a lot of you are going to be on Envirothon teams because we'll have more time to cover the material and you'll be better prepared. Usually our seniors, being the second year in the program, have had the opportunity to do that a little bit more. As always, call me, email me, somehow get a hold of me with questions. It's getting tough on me to do remote learning. I do miss you a lot, and especially taking some of those strolls through Camp Lazarus. The wildflowers are beautiful right now, and starting next week I'm going to do some videos on wildflowers for you. You also will be hearing from me next week as to finding out what you need to get out of the wildlife building. There will be some time scheduled that the Career Center has scheduled for you to come in and pick up your belongings, but we'll get to that next week. Meantime, enjoy some sunshine and know that you are missed. Take care of yourself.